Okay, guys, good afternoon. Welcome to the Blue Room. Thank you for taking the time out to, of your busy schedules to actually have a conversation with us today. The webinar is scheduled for 30 minutes. So the duration of the actual presentation should be just about 20 minutes. Question and answers, we work with 10 minutes after the session. So we give everyone enough time to actually, bring forward the questions. I'll unmute everyone. Right. In terms of submitting your questions, we prefer that the questions be submitted via chat. So we collate them, and for the ones that we don't get to actually come back to, we can actually send an email response or have a conversation. When I unmute you guys, you can also have a discussion as well if you don't want to put your questions in the chat, but we want to make sure we capture everybody's questions or concerns. And if you're submitting in the chat, please submit to everyone, not just the host, because during the presentation, I may not be able to look at the questions. So I have my team, the engineering team and the sales team and the administration team on the webinar as well. So everyone will be able to collate the questions. And the webinar is being recorded, guys. All right, as we said before, thanks for joining. So my name is Sheldon Paul. I'm the Director of Engineering and New Business for Blue Networks Consultancy. All right, the topic that we're going to discuss today, guys, is remote work, the virtual team. It's a very, very applicable team now, especially with what's going on. So from an agenda perspective, we're going to look at the context. What has COVID-19 actually done to the environment? And we're not talking about medically. We understand what's happening medically, but what has it done to the business environment? We're going to define what remote work is. We're going to actually dig deep to understand, or to have you guys understand, how we feel about the phrase, not all businesses are the same. That would be very important. We'll work with you to understand more about what makes your business tick. All right, we'll spend more time also discussing some scenarios and the implications of solutions on each of those scenarios. And then moving forward, we'll look at what we think is a new normal, and ending with question and answers, guys. All right, the existing context. So we have to face the reality that the pandemic has brought a lot to the forefront with respect to our businesses and the way we operate now and the way we manage our businesses. So it has brought a lot to the forefront. And when I say that, I'm speaking in particular to the telecommunication and supporting collaboration infrastructure and the role that it plays in each of our organizations. So when we talk about technology within the context, guys, of this webinar, we're not speaking about Microsoft Word, Excel, and so on. No, we're speaking about telecom and supporting technologies that really provide critical services to the organizations. And we also need to be real with ourselves and recognize that there is a distinct difference in how we operate pre-COVID-19, or how we operated pre-COVID-19 and now, and how we will have to move forward, guys. We have to understand that. We have to be real. So when we look at, if we look at this slide and we start to look at, the items that we put up there, pre-COVID-19, guys, so before this pandemic, before we understood the implications of what's really going on, it was business as usual. From a technology perspective, technology was seen or used as a necessity, and in some cases, or many cases, used from an efficiency or cost-saving perspective. What can we use technology to do better? How can I automate this process? How can I spend less money and be more effective? Traditionally, that's how we looked at technology, right? And in a lot of organizations, technology is seen as an expense, all right? So from where we sit, guys, we were guilty of that as well, all right? So that's how we saw that in organizations pre-COVID-19. Fast forward to where we are right now, guys. We still have people joining, so welcome, guys. Fast forward to where we are now. We see panic. We have organizations pulling, people who make decisions, pulling their hair out. What are we going to do? What is our next step? We see the loss of lives, right? This presentation is not to downplay what is happening from a medical perspective or loss of life perspective. No, I'm not in the medical field, so I'm not qualified to talk about that. So we're talking about infrastructure and what we need to do better. So we saw the panic, we still see the panic. We see the loss of lives every day, loss of jobs, loss of revenue, and businesses close their doors because they cannot sustain the operations of the existing organization, given the actual constraints of the environment. So we think COVID-19 has identified for us a significant number of vulnerabilities in our organizations and the way we operate today. And now is the time to understand what those vulnerabilities are and fix them moving forward. We also see COVID-19 forcing a new perspective, guys. How do we move forward? You know, how have we looked at our organization before and how do we need to look at it now? Ultimately, we see COVID-19 creating a significant opportunity to do better. And we need to stop seeing it as crisis. Yes, it is, right, from a medical perspective, but we also need to see it as an opportunity to put things in place now. All right, so we're jumping right into remote work, guys. Of all the solutions being touted since the pandemic, I'm sure the most popular that you guys would have been hearing about is remote work, work from home, etc. Let's look at what the dictionary defines remote work as. According to Cambridge, remote work is defined as a situation in which an employee works mainly from home and communicates with the company by email and telephone. So guys, remote work has been called many names. Work from home, VPN access. Some people call remote work using application names, Zoom, WebEx, virtual office, remote access, Microsoft Teams, GoToMeeting, and many more. I am sure many of you who sit in organizations now at the decision-making level have heard that you need a remote work solution to solve your problem. Because you know what? You can't work from the office. What is remote work and what does that mean to you? Right, guys? So we know at a time like this, a lot of information is coming at you, the decision makers, the entrepreneurs, the business owners, the managers, or anybody within the organization who has to make a decision. And even the employees, a lot is coming at you right now. So what we're saying, guys, is that we understand that a lot is coming at you. So we're asking you to stop. It may sound sort of counterproductive right now, but now is the time you need to stop, but not stop and stay stagnant, but stop and understand, what does my business need? Very important, guys. Many of us are making decisions not understanding what your business needs. What we're saying is that it's only then you'll be able to make well-informed decisions that will properly serve your business, when you understand what the business needs, right? So if there's any slide I need you to take home with you, or if there are any notes that you need to take, are the notes on this slide. I cannot stress the importance of this basic concept. And this concept is very simple, guys, right? But we see this as the underlying factor that is contributing to many of the issues that we're seeing today. And what is that? Not all businesses are the same. We need to get that in our head, guys. It doesn't matter if it's two businesses in the same vertical, two insurance companies, two banks. They may deliver similar services, but not all businesses are the same, guys. So let's point out some stuff for you. From a factual perspective, each business operates differently and employs different applications and communication platforms. All right, so what you have in front of you are just some examples of what we want to bring to the table to drive home the point of the differences in business, right? So let's start with the legacy system. Some organizations, for example, insurance companies and other financial institutions, they may have core business application. And a core business application is the application that delivers the critical service for your business. Any business, it doesn't matter what it is, they must have a core application. So from a legacy perspective, in many instances, these applications are either homegrown or developed internal, and they are normally always hosted on-premise, right? On-premise, guys, within the walls of the organization. Let's look at on-premise file storage. Similar to the legacy system, right? This is a situation where many organizations, they may have on-premise file storage areas where they house and make available all the necessary documents required for day-to-day operations or any of the critical business business applications. So again, this is a situation where what you need for the business to operate is on-premise. And then we have the legacy system and the on-premise system brought together. I mean, it goes without saying that there are many organizations that combine both scenarios 1 and scenarios 2, the legacy system and the legacy file storage system, the on-premise file storage system. This is where the core applications are still on-premise as well as their file storage system. And we are painting a picture for you guys. There's a reason we use those terms as they should be used in technological situations, on-premise, etc., etc. And you'll see the picture we're painting for you. Right? There's also the cloud-based organization, guys. There are more and more organizations that are moving their technology operations to the cloud. And we've seen years ago, many organizations were very averse to moving to the cloud. Fast forward to now, that is very, very, very different. So the adoption of cloud technology from a business perspective has increased tremendously. In this scenario, right, all core applications are housed remotely and in the cloud. So we move from on-premise core applications and file storage to not on-premise, right, meaning in the cloud. And there are situations where we have hybrid cloud. So the term hybrid by definition means a combination of multiple technologies. In this case, I'm referring to an organization that chooses to combine the use of cloud and on-premise technologies to deliver the application and storage environment that supports the business. So in this case, they could have the application on-premise, but the storage in the cloud, or mixture of both. It doesn't matter. The concept is what I want you to take away from this, that there are many different situations. And there are some companies that are special, like call center and sales-based organizations. These are organizations where the situations are such that productivity is based on the ability of the users to communicate with customers to drive sales. For example, a call center. So guys, we've taken the time to point out these scenarios, right? In keeping with the same concept of not all businesses are the same, right? The explanations that we brought before, there are some similarities, right? There are some similarities. Let's look at the similarities here. The legacy system, the on-premise file solution system, and the solution where you have the combination of legacy and on-premise. All of these are on-premise solutions. Stay with me, guys. I wanna get to the point, but I need to take you through this carefully. All of these are on-premise solutions. So this more or less dictates that any solution to support the remote work or work from home must involve a solution that securely connects the users who sit at home to the business communication network, right, to be able to allow access to the applications that they need to operate with. This is normally achieved by the implementation of VPN technologies or virtual private network technologies and the respective telecommunication equipment like firewalls and so on. So the legacy system, on-premise, and the combination of legacy and on-premise, all of these solutions, the organization's data and applications which the users have to get access to be productive are on-premise. So how can a solution like WebEx or Microsoft Teams or Zoom deliver critical applications in a situation like that? Not to knock any of the applications. The point I'm making is that each application has its place. So when you hear about an organization that has survived because it's able to close its doors, because it's using Microsoft Teams to have video, you have to think above that, guys. That solution may not work for you. So the idea is to have people dig deep. So I'm going to go on. The hybrid cloud solution, based on this being a combination of cloud and on-premise, the organization may need to combine the use of the same VPN technology for the on-premise applications, right? And the cloud-based applications normally just require access to the internet. So this organization has a combination of cloud-based technologies, whatever they would have migrated to cloud-based, and they still have applications that the business needs to use that still happen to be on-site. These are practical scenarios, guys. So you as an organization have to understand, for my people to be productive, I still need to employ technology to get remote users to my organization to get access to what they need. So you have to employ some sort of remote access technology like VPNs, right? Call center-based application. These organizations, again, there are many tools, right? For this business, there are many options that range from using collaboration applications like Microsoft Teams, Zoom, WebEx, Virtual PBX, etc., that are focused on remote collaboration. Because these tools would allow the ability to still meet with the customers using video. And there can even be situations where the customer decides, okay, I want to create an experience where I have Microsoft Teams and I want to integrate into my existing PBX. So when a customer calls my existing number, they get to me, but I am at my home sitting at my desk using Microsoft Teams. The point I'm making, guys, is that every business is different and the solutions and the prescriptions are not broad brush. It's never a broad brush, right? The cloud-based organization, guys, pay attention here. This organization has already employed the technology that allows it to be 100% totally location transparent. In times like these, the only adjustment needed to be made by these organizations are to close their doors, and the people who work in the organization may need to adjust their mindset to work from home. Half of the times when the organization has already been migrated to a cloud-based platform, there's no technology change or purchase required. They are already using the technology to allow them to be transparent from a location perspective, right? So these organizations may only have to focus on tools to enhance collaboration and meetings, etc. The point I'm making here, guys, this is very critical, right? I'm trying to drive home the point. There are many factors that need to be considered before making these decisions. Let us not react. Let us make informed decisions. All right? What makes your business tick, guys? So we've looked at the present context. We've defined remote work, and we've understood that not all businesses are the same. Let's now discuss how we recommend that we work together, guys. This is a team effort. Recommend how we work together to address what's happening today. First of all, right, it is critical that we ask ourselves the following questions. And while I'm going through it, guys, I want you to ask yourself the question: what does productivity look like for my business? What are my critical applications? How are my critical applications accessed? Can they be accessed remotely? There are some applications that cannot be accessed remotely because they're too heavy. You know, what would remote work look for my business? Remote work for an insurance company may look totally different for us as a technology organization. My organization is equipped to work from wherever we can in the world, but that may not be the case for the organization. So what does that mean for you? And what does productivity look like for your business? So the answers may be different for each customer, right? But we are urging you to make the decisions based on the answers to these questions and by extension, what your business requires, right? Moving forward, guys, what is required, right? It's a new normal. We cannot go forward doing the things that we did yesterday, right? But we also have to adjust our mindset. The first thing I want us to think about is that this is not the end. This is a major setback, yes, we agree, but this is not the end. We can move forward after this, guys. We can sustain our business. We can, C-A-N. There are businesses that have closed their doors, and we understand that. We're not saying that there's nothing that can be done. There are tools available for all of these organizations. We just need to dig deep, right? We're asking that you reach out to your trusted advisors, reach out to us, right? We pride ourselves by never making a recommendation unless there's a full understanding of your business. So talk to us, guys. All that is needed is to understand your business, and we can do that together. All right, guys, that's exactly 20 minutes. Exactly 20 minutes. So I know it was a short delivery, but we're cognizant of people's time, especially in situations like these. So what I want to do, I want to unmute everyone, and we can go to question time. All right, I have a question from Leslie Ferry. I came in late, but how secure are cloud-based solutions? Very good question, Leslie. All right, let me just make sure I get my video up here to make sure that I actually seeing, or you will actually see me. So how secure are cloud-based system? That's a question that is, I don't want to say difficult to answer because different vendors employ different security metrics and different security parameters and configurations, right? But I would say if you're looking at cloud-based technology, start with the guys that are more recognized, like the Microsoft, the Googles, and those guys that are actually driven by standards a lot of the times. I mean, everybody at the end of the day should be driven by standards, but you find that with the larger companies, you have a lot more experience within the organization. So you tend to see these organizations pulling out all the stops to ensure that their actual technologies are more secure. But that being said, though, you should never disregard your internal organization and having your technology people actually do the necessary assessments. You can employ people like the Ernst & Youngs and the other organizations out there that actually do a lot of penetration testing and so on to ensure that whatever you go after is secure. Because we have to be very real, guys. You may be secure today and next week you may have a vulnerability. That's just how the environment actually works, because you have hackers working to get better every day. Right? So Leslie, I hope I answered your question. I really want to unmute everybody, but I'm getting some feedback, so I'll do it in a little bit again. I have one. All right. Yes, Jeremy, you can go ahead. So Natalie, nice to have you on, Natalie. So this was very good food for thought in terms of understanding what each of our businesses needs and making solutions choices that fit our unique situation. So thanks, Natalie, for that. Okay, I have another question from Leslie. Are the Microsoft Teams using end-to-end encryption? Microsoft Teams, yes. We are a Microsoft partner. All our information suggests that it is using end-to-end encryption, yes. Right? Again, we could be corrected by that. That's all the information that we've been trained on and read. It is using end-to-end encryption. Hi, one of my major concerns for cloud is that once you get dependent on it and you can't afford it later on, the ramifications could cripple the org. So in terms of the cloud and so on, one of the major concerns from cloud is that once you get dependent on it, the thing is, I would see that dependency on something is based on you as an organization, you as an individual. I personally believe that there's no real issue with being dependent on technology once that technology delivers what you need. I'm going to unmute Jeremy. So Jeremy could probably jump in here as well. Oh, Jeremy, unmute, right? So I just want to finish this answer. In terms of getting dependent on the technology, I don't see that as being an issue. From an affordability perspective, what I would suggest, a lot of these technologies from a cloud-based perspective are designed to be used or to be seen from an expense perspective on the operational side. So you're moving your CapEx, which is traditionally how the organization approach purchasing technology and equipment. You're moving from a CapEx to OpEx type scenario where you can tie the cost of these technologies to the operations of the organization. So in theory, it should be easier to manage because you should have an idea of what you're going to generate from a revenue perspective. Yeah. So I would say to adjust that scenario, I don't have a name though, to adjust that scenario with respect to being able to afford it, I would say that that should be handled from a budgeting perspective.
And Sheldon, moving some technologies to the cloud actually costs businesses less.
Agreed.
They don't need to sustain server environments and on-premise licenses and so on. Because some setup, you pay the license for the user, and the company that you're paying for the license from handles all that background costs or removes that cost from you. So say you pay $5 for a per user license and you only have 10 users, whereas you might pay $100 for a license for the year to maintain the same server with the same 10 users.
Agreed. All right, so let me look at some more questions.
I see that's a question from Claudia White, Sheldon.
You could read it out from Jeremy. Okay, hi Sheldon, what would you suggest for companies with heavy core applications? Claudia, very valid question. What I suggest for those companies is for them to actually, again, take the time to understand what is required. Now, I don't want to say just to move that organization to the cloud. I'm not suggesting that cloud is the only way to go, but I'm suggesting that they sit down and understand within the context of what happened now with COVID-19 and look at that core application and what their business requires and look at what they would need to put in place to mitigate that risk, right? So the technology to mitigate that risk may mean either transitioning to cloud or even moving that application to another jurisdiction or something that would allow remote access, right? And remember, remote access can also be an option because they can connect to that on-premise solution. So to answer your question very specifically, Claudia, I would recommend that the organization and the technology head sit down and evaluate the existing application and what it does for the organization with a view of understanding how to mitigate risks like what we sit in now. Adrian Penny, how safe is it to host confidential data on the cloud? Would a hybrid approach be the best option? Adrian, very valid question. Jeremy, you could jump in anytime. Adrian, to answer your question, I would say, as I said before, security is relative to what you want to use, right? Or what is the use case? So for you, there may be some organizations that will satisfy all your security criteria, especially if you're in a particular vertical. And there may be for some organizations that don't require a certain level of security, they may be able to go to applications that are a little more relaxed. But there are procedures and policies normally involved like GDPR and some, HIPAA and a lot of those other policies that dictate that organizations need to conform to certain things. So that is the shining light at the end of the tunnel. A lot of these organizations are guided by standards. But again, as I mentioned before, you still have to sit down and evaluate whoever you're looking at to store information in the cloud. I suggest that you push them to the limit. Let them show you how secure they are in relation to what you are looking for. Right? Jeremy, anything you want to add there?
No, it's similar to that. You just need to do your research and invest in it so that you make sure that they're meeting the security needs that you have. For instance, Microsoft and Google and Amazon would have a lot of data out there on how they're protecting your company's information. So you need to do the research and make sure that they match your requirements.
Yeah. All right, guys, so we're on 30 minutes. All of the questions, what we're going to do, we're going to get back to each one of you, right, with the answers. What I wanted to do here, guys, is that I wanted to just inform you guys that our next webinar is on Wednesday, 15th of April at the same time. And what we're doing there, we're actually taking these scenarios, and Jeremy would carry on the next segment where we look at the technologies that we use as an organization to address all of these scenarios. So we're calling it a day of remote work at Blue Network. So you'll get to come in and understand how we use SharePoint, how we use Microsoft Teams, how we interact with our customers, etc. So it's more of a practical solution, practical webinar rather than this one where we actually looked at the strategy and understanding the problems that we have out there. Right? So Jeremy will handle that. So for our participants on the webinar, guys, what we're offering to each one of you is an hour-long consultation for the next 30 days. Right? So to book that consultation, guys, you need to send a request using the promo code Remote Work the Virtual Team to the address here, sales@bluenetworks.ct.com. If we don't hear from you, we'll reach out to you as well. All right. Thank you very much, guys, for the time. Everything we discussed in this webinar is actually written in this blog article that is on our website right now. So if you need to recap, all of the content has been written in that blog article. Guys, thank you very much for your time.